Welcome to this deep dive. Today we're venturing into some pretty fascinating territory,
Hmm.
exploring the ideas in this YouTube audiobook, Once You Know This Secret, Keep Your Mouth Shut. It's from the Forbidden Library.
Right. And it really focuses on something called the source law.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. And
Yeah.
it's not like your typical self-help stuff. It's framed as really ancient, powerful wisdom,
Mm.
the kind that can lead to, well, profound change.
What I find really compelling is the central idea. It suggests life isn't just reacting to what we want, or what we say we want.
Okay.
It's more about being in tune with who we fundamentally are,
Yeah.
our essence, our silent signature, as the audiobook puts it so nicely.
Silent signature. I like that.
Yeah. It's presented as this underlying current beneath everything, really,
Yeah.
the fabric of creation.
And there's this interesting little hint in the audiobook, too, suggesting that, if you're drawn to this material right now, it's probably not by accident.
Right. Like you're being guided towards it for a reason.
Yeah, almost like you're meant to remember something you already kind of know deep down, rather than just learning something totally new. It makes that distinction.
Exactly. It's like less about piling on new information and more about waking up this inner wisdom, reconnecting.
So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to try and unpack some of these key concepts from the source law, using the examples and principles from the audiobook.
Sounds good. Where should we start?
Okay, let's kick off with the first big idea, the hidden law.
The hidden law. Okay.
So the core concept here is that the universe doesn't just process verbal requests or conscious wishes.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually responding to your essential being, your vibration, I guess you'd call it.
Yeah, vibration or frequency. Like
Yeah.
tuning a radio, right? You have to be on the right station.
That's a good way to put it. And the audiobook uses some interesting stories to illustrate this. Remember the one about young Ezekiel?
Oh, yeah. He finds that medallion.
Right. And suddenly he just gets this deep understanding wordlessly.
It's like a naive discovery, tapping right into the source law without any, mental gymnastics.
Exactly. It suggests the cosmos understands this deeper language, the language of vibration, or as they say, the gentle hum of your genuine condition.
Hmm. That phrase really makes you think about the subtle energy we're constantly emitting, doesn't it?
It does, and it sets this apart from just trying to force things through sheer willpower or endless prayers.
Right. The implication is you can't strong-arm the source law. It's more about finding harmony with it.
Which brings us to Clara the seamstress.
Ah, yes, Clara. Her story is quite illuminating for this principle.
How so?
Well, instead of constantly pushing and worrying about getting clients or making ends meet,
Which is what most of us would do.
totally, but she just immersed herself in the work itself, in that state of pure presence, just sewing.
And what happened?
Opportunities just started showing up.
Yeah.
Effortlessly. It really highlights that idea of frequency over force.
So her internal state, her calm focus, acted like a magnet.
Precisely. Attracting what resonated with that state, rather than her having to chase it down. It even suggests that sometimes all our mental effort, our striving, might actually block things.
That's quite counterintuitive, isn't it? We're always told to hustle, to make things happen.
It is. The audiobook mentions practices like finding solitude, actively letting go of that feeling of needing or seeking.
Just observing desires without grabbing onto them.
Exactly. Trusting that the universe responds to that inner calm. It's a different way of operating.
A fascinating point about where true control or maybe influence actually comes from, not from micromanaging, but from syncing up with these deeper currents.
Precisely. Harmonizing, not controlling.
Okay, moving on. The next concept is the sacred veil.
The sacred veil.
This one suggests that, unlimited potential is basically all around us, always available. But our minds are kind of trained, conditioned maybe, to see limitations, constraints, like we're looking through a filter.
That's a perfect description. The audiobook calls this veil, something woven from our habitual thoughts, our ingrained beliefs, the way we automatically perceive things.
Right, and Walter's story at the temple fits here, doesn't it?
Absolutely. At the Meanlid Temple, hearing that message, nothing is hidden, only unseen.
Wow.
It drives home the point that the source law isn't hiding. We're the ones maybe not seeing clearly because of our own mental filters.
It's like searching frantically for your glasses when they're on top of your head.
Exactly. The answer, the potential, it's right there.
Yeah.
But our focus, our ingrained way of looking, prevents us from seeing it.
So the audiobook suggests this veil starts to thin out or dissolve when we shift our approach.
Yeah, shifting from constantly seeking externally to just perceiving openly. moving from trying so hard to just allowing.
And Dorothy's story, the one about imagining calm.
Yes, instead of mentally rehearsing disasters, which is easy to do.
Oh, definitely.
She consciously chose to cultivate the feeling of calm. Her outer situation didn't instantly change, but her relationship to it did. Her alignment shifted.
So the transformation starts inside with perception.
That's the key takeaway. Changing how we interpret and engage with reality aligns us differently with the source law.
And there's a practice mentioned too, right? Something with a candle.
Yes, a very simple one. Gently gazing at a candle flame
Okay.
and repeating silently, I do not search, instead I see.
I do not search, instead I see.
The idea is to foster that quiet receptivity, that stillness where the veil can naturally part. It's about allowing insight, not forcing it.
It emphasizes stillness again, doesn't it? Not effort, training awareness to see what's already present.
Exactly. Rather than constantly imposing our own version of reality onto things.
Let's move to the next one, the ancient mind. This is intriguing.
It really is. This concept suggests we carry this deep, ancient knowledge within us already.
So understanding isn't always about learning something brand new.
It's often about remembering what's already there, reawakening it.
Like tapping into some kind of inherent wisdom.
Precisely. Think about Edwin the Watchmaker's story. Those recurring dreams he had.
With the strange symbols.
Yeah, symbols he didn't recognize consciously, but they felt deeply significant, almost familiar, yet just out of grasp.
So the audiobook implies the source law communicates in ways beyond just logic and language.
Right. Through dreams, gut feelings, patterns we notice in nature. Channels that maybe predate our rational mind. Like we have this built-in antenna for universal intelligence.
It makes you reconsider things you might normally dismiss as coincidence or just weird dreams.
Definitely. And then there's Hattie, her childhood conversations with what she called light.
And that wisdom resurfacing later in life.
Yes. It suggests those intuitive flashes, those vivid dreams, aren't just noise. They can be genuine communication from this deeper knowing.
What we might brush off as fantasy could actually be a glimpse of this ancient mind.
It could be. And the practice suggested is quite introspective. Quietly asking yourself, what have I forgotten that I once knew?
And revisiting early memories.
Yeah, trying to reconnect with those initial unfiltered perceptions. Trusting that maybe deep down, we already hold the keys.
So having faith in those early intuitions, recognizing we might already understand more than we think.
It echoes a lot of wisdom traditions, doesn't it? Look within for the truth. Don't just rely on external authorities.
Okay, next up. The word before the world. Sounds pretty profound.
It definitely suggests our words carry immense weight.
More than we usually realize.
Much more. The audiobook describes spoken words as creating actual ripples in the fabric of reality, responding equally to all vibrations, good or bad.
Wow. And Samuel the Hermit, tracing invisible letters.
Yes, silently in the air. And then unexpected blessings appeared in the valley around him. He connects even silent intention to tangible results.
So even unspoken thoughts have power, but spoken words are maybe even more potent.
That's the emphasis. Spoken words are like seeds. Once planted, especially with intention, they grow into our experienced reality.
Which makes Ruth's story in the market so potent.
Extremely.
Yeah.
Her gossiping correlated with her business declining.
Cause and effect.
And then, when she consciously shifted to speaking blessings, speaking with positive intention, prosperity followed. It's a stark contrast.
It really highlights how the energy behind our words shapes things, not just the dictionary definition.
Well, absolutely. It's the intention and vibration carried by the words.
And the practice for this one, it involves silence first, right?
Yes, a dedicated day of sacred stillness.
Yes.
Then standing in front of a mirror
Okay.
and speaking one carefully chosen sentence, a truth, a blessing, a clear aim, but speaking it with deep, focused, heartfelt intention.
That sounds powerful. Cultivating stillness and speaking with deliberate creative force, becoming conscious of the power we wield through speech.
Exactly. Conscious communication.
Let's explore the power of vibration next.
This builds on the previous points, but adds a layer of precision.
How so?
It suggests the source law operates not just on raw emotion, but on the coherence or precision of our frequency. Inner harmony is key for manifestation.
So it's not just about feeling strongly, but about the quality of that feeling.
Exactly. Think of Clifford the violinist.
The single pure note.
Yes. That one clear, focused, harmonious note had a tangible healing effect on Margaret's grief. It wasn't just loud, it was coherent.
Like a laser beam versus a floodlight, focused energy.
That's a great analogy. That single vibration directly impacted her state of being.
And the contrast is Betsy's story.
Right. She was radiating a general state of, well, disharmony, internal static, maybe.
And attracted negativity.
Consequently, yes. But then she learned to consciously tune her inner state, like a musician tuning an instrument.
That's a very active image. Tuning yourself.
It highlights how our internal vibrational landscape shapes our external world. By deliberately shifting her inner state towards peace and harmony, she changed the experiences she drew towards her.
And the practice is humming.
A simple one, yes. Humming a low, soft tone each morning. The idea is to consciously attune your energy field, aiming for that resonant cosmic harmony.
Finding that inner resonance that aligns you with the source law's workings.
It ties into that principle of like attracts like. Our inner vibration is the magnet.
Okay, next concept, sacred alignment. This seems crucial.
It really ties things together. It's about the integration of everything, thoughts, emotions, actions, working in harmony.
Not just one piece, but the whole system.
Exactly. The integrity of our being. The audiobook uses Thomas the Woodcrafter.
Oh, right. His work changed based on his mood.
Drastically. When he felt joy, the wood seemed to cooperate. His craft flowed beautifully. When he was angry,
Problems, flaws.
yes, the work became difficult, flawed. It shows how the source law responds to the totality of our state, not just a single thought or wish.
So positive thinking alone isn't enough if your emotions are full of fear or your actions contradict your thoughts.
That's the implication. Nancy's story hammers this home, praying fervently for health.
But terrified of sickness underneath it all.
Exactly. That internal conflict creates static. Her real shift happened when she aligned everything thoughts, feelings, actions towards well-being. Her prayers became affirmations of health she was already cultivating.
So the practical advice is to check in with ourselves.
Consciously. Before making a request or setting an intention, ask, are my desires, feelings, and actions all pointing the same way? Is my signal clear and consistent?
Creating that unified field within, everything pulling in the same direction.
It's about living authentically, isn't it? Where the inside matches the outside, that creates powerful resonance.
Okay, now for the divine mirror. This is quite a concept.
It is. It suggests that the resistance we experience out there
Isn't actually external.
not necessarily. It might be our own energy reflecting back at us.
Wow, so the universe as a flawless mirror.
Precisely reflecting our dominant vibrations. Mabel's story is poignant here.
Complaining constantly.
And her world just kept getting smaller, more negative. Until she saw that reflection in the beggar's mirror and realized
Yeah.
it was her.
The external world showing an image of her internal state. That's a heavy idea.
It implies that persistent problems, recurring challenges, they're signals, pointing to something within us that's contributing to them.
And Howard the pastor.
Another clear example. His judgmental sermons were met with judgment and resistance from his congregation. His inner state mirrored externally.
So the practice involves reflection.
Nightly reflection, yes. Looking back at the day's events and interactions and asking, how did the world act as a mirror for me today? What was it reflecting about my own inner state?
Using life's feedback to understand our own energetic output. That shifts the focus dramatically.
It moves us away from blame and towards self-awareness and responsibility for the energy we project.
Okay, let's talk about desire is divine. This flips the script on desire a bit.
It really does. It reframes desire,
Yeah.
especially those really persistent, deep yearnings.
Not just ego wanting stuff.
No, potentially as communication from the source law, like guidance from a higher place.
Heavenly guidance even.
That's the suggestion. Francis's dream of the golden door.
And the sage telling him to honor that kind of deep yearning.
Right. Treating it not as random, but as a pointer towards his true path.
And the contrast is Joe the healer.
A powerful contrast. He denied his gift, his true calling.
And his health suffered.
Yes. He only regained his vitality when he finally accepted and embraced that innate desire to heal. It suggests suppressing authentic desire goes against the flow of creation itself.
Ignoring our deepest callings has consequences.
It seems so. The practice here is quite symbolic. Identify a hidden passion, something you truly yearn for.
Write it down.
Whisper it to the universe, acknowledging it, and then burn the paper.
As a symbolic act of release and alignment.
Exactly. Recognizing and honoring those deep desires as sacred and purposeful.
Viewing our yearnings not as selfish, but as vital clues to who we are and what we're here to do.
A much more empowering perspective on desire.
Now, an interesting take on doubt. doubt serves as a gatekeeper.
Yeah, this challenges the idea that doubt is purely negative or something to just crush.
So it's not just an obstacle.
The audiobooks suggest it's more like a natural pause, a hesitancy before a big shift. And that doubt itself might contain seeds of deeper wisdom. It helps refine truth.
Like Marie's story, hesitating before those strange lights and whispers.
Right. She initially turned away, doubted, but later realized that doubt wasn't stopping her. It was actually preparing her, making her consider things more deeply.
So doubt as a yellow light, not a red one, urging caution and closer examination.
That's a good way to think about it. The source law itself isn't presented as something to be accepted blindly. Doubt is maybe the soul's way of checking, am I really ready for this?
And Edna the healer, her fear held her back.
Her fear of judgment, yeah. It hindered her gift until she saw the fear itself was the barrier, not the gift. The doubt, in a way, protected her until she was ready to overcome that fear.
So the practice is to engage with doubt.
Yes. Write down a current doubt. Ask it, essentially, what is the truth you hold for me? Then sit quietly, contemplating, until some insight arises.
Treating doubt with curiosity, not just dismissal. Seeing what wisdom it might offer.
It encourages a much healthier relationship with doubt, seeing it as potentially helpful, not just hindering.
Okay, finally, let's look at the power of silence.
A beautiful concept to end on. The immense creative potential within stillness.
So words have power, but silence does too.
Absolutely. The audiobook suggests words can sometimes be walls, limiting things. Silence, true inner quiet, allows the cosmos, the source law, to operate freely. It concentrates creative force.
Lucille's story illustrates this well, right?
Very powerfully. All her constant talking was masking deep anguish. It was only in the profound silence of the monastery that she found healing.
Like quieting the surface noise allowed something deeper to work.
Precisely. Letting that inner wisdom emerge. And George the lawyer
His losing streak
ended when he consciously shifted strategy. Chose to listen more, speak less. Strategic quiet. It highlights that silence isn't just passive.
It can be an active force, a potent tool.
Definitely. The practice suggested is quite demanding, but potentially profound. Set aside a dedicated period each day, maybe even 2 hours.
2 hours of silence.
Complete quiet, removing stimuli, to consciously allow intuition, that direct knowing, to surface.
Creating intentional space for that inner voice, for the source law's subtle workings to become clearer.
In a world that's so incredibly noisy, cultivating inner stillness becomes vital. It's about creating that receptive state for deeper understanding.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into the source law from this audiobook, the core message really crystallizes, doesn't it?
It really does.
Right.
Life fundamentally responds to who you genuinely are.
Yeah, all these different concepts, the hidden law, the veil, vibrational alignment, the mirror.
They all point back to that central theme. Our inner state, our core vibration, the coherence between our thoughts, feelings, actions, that's what's primarily shaping our reality.
It certainly gives you a lot to think about regarding, your own presence, the signals you're putting out there.
And hopefully, for you listening, exploring these ideas, these stories, it offers maybe a new lens, a fresh way to look at your own experiences and the power you have to consciously align with life's flow.
On that note, maybe a final thought to leave you with. What is the truest essence of your own silent signature right now, in this moment? And what kind of reality might that silent signature be quietly, persistently attracting?
That's a powerful question to sit with.
Indeed. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive.